Well, welcome to the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. And for some reason or other, I see that it's Nathan that's white boxed. And for some reason or other, I can't seem to move myself, put myself over there. So another Zoom problem. So let's see if I can mute Nathan. See if I can do something there. So no, that doesn't work. So here we are. After a long holiday, and I'm trying to sort out the problems that we have been having with Zoom. So I see we have another problem now. I can't get Zoom to use me as the prime person. I don't know how to do that. So we may, I don't know. Maybe I need to
make someone else a host.
Yeah, so I'm trying to I can't even see how to do that. Mute and rename is all I'm getting. So yeah. So now you are on screen and I'm not. So what can I do? I'm not muted. Anyway. So let's just keep on going and we will get whatever we get. So I see that we have a few members in here, and normally what I would like to do to begin with is to introduce everybody who is here. So let's see, I'm not sure I can see everybody who is here. So David Flannery is here from Illinois. He creates affordable websites for small business.
I think whoever speaks appears at least on the screen. So
Yeah.
David, if you say unmute yourself, say something.
Yes. So.
Hello, everyone.
But I'm speaking, and it won't show me at all. So anyway. So, and I see Alana just joined us. She's in Ireland, and she supports businesses by creating and maintaining websites. We have Nathan, who is in Mexico, and he guides writers through the creation of a book. But I seem to remember, Nathan, that maybe you've changed your focus a little bit. So we may want to talk about that again later. And we have Paul Murray, who is in my neighborhood in Victoria, and he helps startups turn ideas into profitable action. And we have Vivek Rayo, who is in the UK, and he simplifies business and life and business by unifying different technologies and developing software. And finally, I'm Loweland Fuglsang, and I'm in British Columbia as well, Victoria, and I coach retirees who want to create an online business. So I think I have everybody. I hope I have everybody. Let me check. Yes, it looks like I have everybody. So what we had planned on doing this morning, and I maybe should update everybody as to what's going on with the last little while. We had an issue back in December on the last session that we did, and I spent the better part of the last 2 or 3 weeks trying to sort out what that issue was. I have to give kudos to tech support with Zoom, because they have been right there, following up right there. But throughout this process, they were not able to reproduce the problem that I had with the white screen. And so then we thought it might be OBS, and it wasn't. And a number of people who use OBS and Zoom were having the same problem, but nobody seemed to be able to figure out how to fix it. So I got a message from tech support from Zoom. Too late to do anything about it this morning, but they think they've realized what it is and have suggested that we go back to an earlier version of Zoom. So, and that may be what the problem, where the problem stems from that we're having right now this morning, because it just will not show me, but it will show anybody else who's in the room speaking. So, we just never know.
It's also showing actually part of the YouTube comments that appear.
Oh, well, that could be just because I need to move it over. Do I need to move it over? Wow, I don't know.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are a number of issues, but we will just go, just keep on keeping on, fella says, and I will. I'm able to see who's out there in YouTube, so I will try and keep an eye on that this morning. And I see that Javita is out there participating from YouTube. So welcome here, Javita. Happy New Year. And so now let's get down to business here, and realize that we are going to be talking about SVG. And David has very kindly put together a presentation for us, which we ran through a little bit beforehand this morning while we were in the green room. And I have to say, I learned a whole lot. So basically, I guess I knew, this is as much as I knew about SVG. Every once in a while, when you want to save a picture or something, you get three choices sometimes. You get JPEG, PNG, and SVG, and I never knew anything about that SVG thing. So, and that's where David is going to begin this morning, is what is it and why would you want to use it, etc. So David, if you can unmute yourself, take it away.
Okay, I'm going to start by sharing my screen, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Did something a little bit unexpected. Now I can see you guys. SVG image installation to WordPress, my presentation. There we go. I'm going to go over these things, and what is an SVG file format? Why would you want to use SVG images? Danger, Will Robertson. How to install SVG plugin into WordPress. How to add SVG file to your website. And then wrap up. What's SVG file format? SVG is short for scalable vector graphics. It's a graphics format, and they use an equation to make the photo to make the picture or the image. SVG uses shapes, numbers, and coordinates rather than pixel grid to render graphics in the browser, which makes the resolution independent and infinitely scalable. Why would you want to use SVG images? Scalability. If people you go from uh, a desktop to mobile, you don't have issues with pixelation. Um, it as being an equation, they don't pixelate. Um, File size. When you use a graphics file, the file size is a lot smaller than a PNG or a JPEG. When they're made by a graphics program, uh, like Inkscape or Illustrator. Performance, the graphics files will load faster than PNG and JPEGs. Danger, Will Robertson. Since SVG files are equations, they can contain virus codes. Do not use SVG files when you don't know who made them. For example, you can get them to download. You can download them from Pixabay or for free or pay for them or pay for sites. I would not use an SGV file from them because you don't know who wrote it, and they could have various code in there that you don't want.
Well, David, can I interrupt for a moment?
Yes, you may.
Even if you went to a site where you actually pay for the file, would you be nervous about that as well?
Yes, I still would be.
You would.
Because they don't. I don't think they watch as well as they could.
So in other words, only make them yourself. Don't use those that somebody else does.
Correct. I'll take a PNG and convert it to a vector. I'll buy a PNG and convert that to a vector file, and then use the vector file if I so desire.
Okay.
That way, when I convert it, PNGs don't have those kind of viruses in them or JPEGs. And when I convert them, I'm doing the converting, not someone else. So I know what code is in, what's in there. So I use only the ones that I make, or if I trust someone, like if I got a file from Jay, I would trust him and know that he's not writing code in it or something along those lines.
Right.
But I wouldn't purchase SVG files because just too iffy.
Okay. Danger.
Yeah. Got to give that warning. Now I'm going to do a live demo.
Good.
How to install this. Where did
Grandparents' Day.
Yep.
Cute kids, David.
Yes, they're my 2 of 3 granddaughters. The other one isn't in school yet. Sorry, I closed it down somehow. I didn't realize it closed down what I needed.
Yeah, I know. Happens to all of us.
Hey, there's me.
Up in the corner. Yeah. Yes, you're up in my corner in WA as well.
Building a
Give you all-
nation.
Yeah. Give you all that free advertising, Jay. Okay. To install the plugin, I go to plugins and I'm going to deactivate and delete. And it's a very simple process. We go up here, get into your dashboard. You go to add new plugin.
Mm-hmm.
I type in SVG.
No, you got
SW.
SWG.
And there's two of them. This one here is untested with the version of WordPress I'm using, and this one is, so that's the one I use. I always do that, so I just hit install. And activate. And then I go over here to settings, and there's only one setting, and that's make sure that the restrict to administrator is clicked. That way, it's just a habit. Only administrators can add SVGs.
Okay.
So then, I'm going to go to a post. The next thing I wanted to do was how to add an SVG file to your website.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do a live demo. I go to my post and I'm editing it. And right now I'm going to add media.
Mm-hmm.
I've already, well, let's do this permanently.
Oh, so you're gonna
I'm
start
actually going
go
to
right
show
back.
you.
Yeah.
I've got two files already here. First one I'm going to load is the JPEG or is the PNG, and they're the exact same photo at the same size. Okay. So I'm going to insert them into the post. Normally I'd fill in the alt text and the description and all that, but I'm not going to do it today. Okay. Let's move that one over. What do I have?
I might say to people, I'm sorry that the screen the green room screens are on the side and disrupting what David is showing, but I can't change it. Otherwise, I will lose Zoom altogether in OBS. So I'm sorry, I can't make a change to that.
Okay, this is the PNG file.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the SVG file. Now, why did you do that?
Oh, it replaced it instead
Yes,
of.
it did.
Dave, select both of them at the same time, and then it'll upload both of them. See how they're both checked? Now go insert into post. There you go.
There you are, Jay. Good morning.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome, and good morning.
Okay. I'm going to change the size of this, and I'm going to go to 500 pixels. And it came out nice and crystal clear. Now this one here, it looks really sharp and is nice, but watch what happens when I change it to a custom size of 500. See how blurry it gets?
Mm-hmm.
And the size doesn't quite equate right, but it's you can see the size. Make that 600. As you can see, that just stays crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the advantage of doing that. I can put in a small 200 pixel picture and expand it to whatever size I want, and have that small size be what it's going to.
Boy, you can certainly see
A huge
a huge difference. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to the presentation. Any questions by anybody?
Yeah, that was going to be my my question.
I just wanted to say that when you saw Dave scale the image inside of WordPress, you notice that when he changed it from 500, the secondary dimension, so the width and the height, remained equivalent. So
Yeah.
it didn't remain askew. So that's a really nice feature
Yeah.
of WordPress.
When you, but if you do it on the side of the picture, here, it doesn't stay there. You can, oh, it is staying. Huh, I've run into sometimes where it'll skew it. But that's why I always go to edit and change it there.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's a new WordPress release.
Is it?
Yeah, constrain the proportions when you rescale images.
Well, that's nice. Makes it easy. You can do it on the page as opposed to doing it and going to edit.
Right.
So.
Right on.
I used to remember I would fight with that because it would, you'd go and you'd want to click it and move it in just a little bit, and all of a sudden the picture's all skewed.
Yes, I think we all discovered that the hard way. Right, Alana?
Anyway.
Actually, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, two questions, and hopefully I'll remember them both. One of them I wrote down, so I'll go with the one I didn't remember. I didn't write down. Can you, this is probably not part of your presentation, but can you save Canva images as SVG? You know how when you're making images in Canva, can you do that? Probably not, huh? I think it's just PNG.
I think it's PNG or JPEG in Canva. As I remember, Jay, do you use that a lot? Do you remember? They allow you to.
No, you could do PDF, PNG, or JPEG.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe in Pro, but at this time, you can upload SVG files, but you cannot output them.
Okay.
So you can upload them to Canva, but you can't.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, I think it renders it as a PDF or a PNG. It doesn't save it to a JPEG or a SVG. But there's lots of SVG converters online. I actually found one that's actually pretty cool. So.
Oh, would you mind popping?
Yeah, tell us what it is.
Well, do you want to just finish your presentation first?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
The thing you can convert those, but what you have to watch out for is actual photographs, because photographs have lots and lots and lots of colors in them. And if you, I have not found a good way to keep the file size down because you're talking lots of colors, or if you do get a reasonable size file, you end up with like 32 colors, and that would mean that it wouldn't look the transitions would be blocky. Like if you look at the white spaces on my cheeks, you would see it would be one color, and then it would go to a more colored over here, and it would be like a step off. There'd be a step there. You would see it, and it looks different. It doesn't look like a normal photograph. So, but if it's all graphics or simple photographs, you can convert the Canva into SVGs very easily. You had one more question, Alana?
Yeah, I think this might be part of your presentation because I see speed of loading there. And so my question was, are SVG images, do they load faster on a web page when you're, like when someone browses to your site, will that load faster? Because I know PNGs are kind of slow to load.
Yes, they do. They number
load
one,
faster.
their file size ends up being smaller if it's a graphics file.
Cool.
And they do, and since it's the equation, they seem to be able to crunch the numbers a little bit faster than doing the pixels. But I've noticed it does increase the speed of my websites when I use them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I don't know if that. Well, I'll wait until you finished your presentation, Dave. Yeah.
Sorry. The SVG file, to wrap things up, the SVG files do have a place in WordPress. I have gone when I was taught by a great master who's sitting in our midst right now. You always you took a photograph and that was a JPEG, and everything else was a PNG. Well, I'm adding a third class when it's an all graphics file. I'm making that an SVG instead of a PNG.
Now, for the sake of any viewers that might be out there, who is the Grand Master?
That would be Jay Neal.
We have to play with that, don't we?
I've never been called a grandmaster. I was good at chess, but you know.
You're welcome. You create smaller file sizes with the SVGs, and they're very scalable, and they help you with your load time. So with that, I'm done. Thank you.
Well, and I have to say there were a whole lot of things in there that that I didn't know about. But I did ask you this question before, but I thought it would be a good idea to add it on here. So you did mention that Illustrator and what was the other one?
Inkscape.
Inkscape.
Yeah.
See, I didn't realize there was a difference between a software that is just for graphics. So my question was, well, could I make a conversion in Photoshop or GIMP or any of those others? And do you want to answer that?
Yeah. The way I see it is Photoshop and GIMP and them are set up to work with pixels. They can convert. I'm pretty sure they can convert files, export them as SVGs. But you're taking a program that was designed to do pixels and exporting it as a graphics file. Whereas when you're working with Illustrator or Inkscape, they're designed to be graphics programs and to render things in a graphics format. So I would think you would get better results.
Okay.
And I would be interested in Jay's take on that too.
Yeah. So there's yet another item.
Can you repeat? Sorry, can you repeat what the question was?
Well, using programs like Photoshop and GIMP and lesser ones like Canva and whatnot, they're more
Pixlr?
designed to.
What about Pixlr? Yeah.
It would be the same thing. They're designed to be a pixel generating program, and whereas Illustrator and Inkscape are designed to be graphics creating programs. And if you export, you can export with some of the programs from like Photoshop or GIMP. You can export it as an SVG, but you would be better off doing it in Illustrator or Inkscape because they're designed to make those kind of
Well, it kind of depends on what you're building. So, I mean, if you're simply converting image A into image B into an SVG, I think any program will do fine. But I think if you're designing something from scratch or you're modifying something, then you're obviously going to want to use a vector-based program such as Illustrator or Inkscape or something similar. Yeah. So, but it's like if you're simply just taking an image that you already have and you're ready to just turn it into an SVG, then any software program that has that output ability, because I don't think one SVG output is going to be better than the other. The advantage of using Illustrator to output your SVGs is you can specify, without getting too technical, you can specify what XML format the SVG is being outputted as, because every SVG is outputted as an XML file, essentially, right? It's coded as XML because it's math, right? It's simple math of the vectors. So whereas a JPEG it's how many dots there are to cover this one little space, what colors, what RGB codes, and so on and so forth, where it's a lot easier to do that with SVG XML file. So yeah, so it just gives you more options in terms of outputting that way. But I mean, that's something that we as a whole here will never need to really worry about, because there's so many pieces of software that basically do it for us.
Ron, I had a question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, if you're going to put SVG files on your website, then does that mean you have to have that SVG plugin?
As of now, yes.
Okay.
It's just to output it. Now, the other thing I should mention about an SVG file is that if you're designing something from scratch, an SVG graphic, and you have fonts in it, you're going to make sure you want to output those fonts as lines versus having the font embedded. Because if you're using a very unique font and you output it as an SVG, and then you put it on your website, if the person viewing that SVG file doesn't have that font that you used inside their computer, it kind of gets all goofy.
Oh, whoa. Whose thing rang? Was that mine or yours?
It wasn't mine.
It wasn't mine.
Sorry, it was mine. I just.
Hell, Alana.
Sorry, I got a message from a client. Sorry, and I thought I was off the clock now.
It's the curse of being busy, right? Wait, your clients have your cell phone?
Yeah, well, my cell phone is my work phone, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mine's the same way too.
Well, and thank you for that explanation, Jay, because that helps me. That gives me a greater understanding of the very difference between what you're looking at and what you in what situation you might want to use one or the other. So that's really helpful. Any other questions from the group? Vivek or Nathan or Javita, I see you came in instead of sitting on the outside. So, or Paul, anybody else have any other questions about SVG files?
Yes, Lauren, I want to ask Dave, since we need a different software, since Canva is not supporting SVG files, can you suggest any software to changing images to SVG files?
Inkscape.
Inkscape, okay. Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to share that resource?
Yeah, I was just going to say,
would,
Jay,
because I don't have it up. I don't want to tax my computer too much. Well, my last presentation went down the tubes because I had
too many things open.
Too many things going at once.
After that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here.
Yeah.
So it's called convertio.co. And it's an online SVG converter. So you simply upload your file, choose your file, and it outputs it as a SVG.
And that's an online one, right?
Correct.
Right on.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is that it's not restricted to just SVGs. As you can see, it does a plethora of things here.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
I've used the online things sometimes when I just want to change the size of something.
Mhm.
Just go. There are lots of them that do that, so maybe this one does
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So, and then you could choose what output and what input.
Right on.
So if you wanted to change your ebook into an SVG or your audio file, no, don't do that. That would probably blow up the site.
Right. Yes.
So, yeah. But what I do think is kind of cool here is this would be a little more advanced. You could convert a font file to an SVG file. So for example,
Wow.
you can then, if there was like let's say there was a specific font you liked to use as a logo, right? So you can spell out
I can give you an example. I like to use Cookie. And there are lots of people I've stumbled on who don't they can't access Cookie.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, I mean, if you're designing a logo and you don't have Illustrator, you could take the Cookie font file, which would probably be OTF file.
Okay.
So you could select OTF to SVG, upload the file, and then what it does is it would convert all the alphabets into individual SVG files. And at which point, then you can just kind of go into Canva and paste those things together, and then you're good to go.
Oh, okay. So OTF is a font file.
Yeah.
I've placed both Inkscape and Convertio in YouTube chat.
Thank you very much. That's.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, it's a handy little tool.
Mm-hmm.
So this way you don't have to, if you don't want to use Inkscape, or if it's just a simple conversion that you need to do,
right?
I think it's far better to do this than to.
Well, Inkscape, I'm guessing you would have to download the whole program, the same as you did, as I did with GIMP. So this would.
That's open source, right? That's free.
Yes, it's free. It's open source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's and it's similar to what GIMP is to Photoshop.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In that they're very compatible, but GIMP is not quite as powerful as Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're broke, it's very good, and it's very close second, and it will do 90% of what Photoshop does. So, especially if you're beginning, it's more than enough of a photo editor. In the same way with Inkscape, it's more than enough of a graphics program to do most anything you want.
Right on.
Whenever I go to do something, what I'll do is, if I'm making something like a logo or something along like that, I just go to YouTube and type in how to make a coffee shop logo, and there's probably about 40 different videos on how to, and in GIMP. And there's 40 different videos that tell me how to do it, or in Inkscape, and there's 40 different videos that tell me how to do that.
Thank God for YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works really well.
So we are running over a little bit over. So, but I do want to make sure that everybody has a chance to ask any questions about this. So, last chance to raise a question if you need to. Well, then, I haven't seen anybody waving. So, in that case, I will try to. I'm sorry. I do apologize for the weirdness of my Zoom this morning, but But I do want to thank you very much, David. I certainly learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure others have as well. So thank you so much. And
You are welcome.
I want to just remind everyone before we sign off, it's important to do what you love with passion. So now I'm going to do my outro.